can't find nothing on the radio.
You ready, Steve?
Welcome to Songology. He's Bruce.
He's Richard.
And this is another episode from our Song of the Day archives.
Enjoy.
Welcome back, Bruce. It's a new week. What do we have on tap for this week?
Well, we have all sorts of weird and wonderful things for this week. This week I have the original Prefab 4. I have lumpy mashed potatoes, marionettes, sound effect, and rock solid friendship. So how's that for a week?
That sounds like a rather confusing week, but let's dive into it. What week hasn't been confusing?
There you go. So the original Prefab 4, of course, would be the Monkees. Now, how much do you know about the Monkees?
Didn't they start out just as an act and not knowing their music?
Well, that was always the allegation, and the knock was that they didn't really play their instrument. And it really was a TV show. I believe it was NBC. They created the Monkees with the idea that, okay, we're going to capitalize on the Beatles.
Right.
And so they send out a big casting call. 400 plus young men showed up to try to get a part of this little thing, including two people who got turned down for a gig on the Monkees were Stephen Stills of Buffalo Springfield and then Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, right?
Yeah.
And John Sebastian of the Loving Spoonful. He wanted to be monkey too.
Uh-huh.
So the four of them, it was Davy Jones was the front guy cast. He had been an actor. Really, to sort of back up for a second, you had Davy Jones and Mickey Dolenz, who were actors, and you had Mike Naismith and Peter Tork, who were musicians. But they all sort of came together, should we say musicians first, actors second. Mickey Dolenz, who ended up being the drummer of the Monkees, he'd been a Disney guy, and as a child had done things, the way that Kurt Russell did when he was young.
Yeah.
Mickey Dolenz was kind of on that track.
Okay.
And then he became a monkey. So who knew, right? And the knock on them was that they aren't really a band. And in one interview, Mickey actually was the one who sort of let the cat out of the bag, saying, so are you guys all playing on those early records? And he says, well, no, some of them were made before I was even cast. He sort of dubbed the vocals in afterwards.
Yeah.
But what actually was very true at that time was a lot of people didn't play on their own albums. They just sang.
Right.
And there was a huge, in particular, actually, we've made reference to this before. We were talking about in Simon and Garfunkel, the boxer, right?
Yeah.
We talked about the drum thing with the elevator shaft.
Yep.
That was Hal Blaine, the drummer. He was one of this huge group of studio musicians who were called the Wrecking Crew.
Right.
And they were brought in to do everything. Glenn Campbell was another one. He was a member of the Wrecking Crew for years until he went off and became famous on his own. So the Monkees ran for 58 episodes over 2 seasons and then flamed out. But for a while, they were scoring chart hits. They were touring. Tomorrow, we're going to get their opening act on tour. But for now, we'll stick with the Monkees. So the song that I wanted to play was Pleasant Valley Sunday. This is one that they played on just about exclusively. There was one session guitarist. It was actually a guy who was from the Turtles. You remember the Turtles?
Yep.
Their bass player played on this. But other than that, it's just the lads and the Monkees. And the song was written by Jerry Goffin and Carole King, husband and wife songwriting team. Carole King, you may remember, went on to be very famous in her own right as a performer. And they wrote it about the house where they lived in New Jersey, a place called West Orange, New Jersey. They lived on Pleasant Valley Way.
Sounds like a true suburb.
Oh, yeah, and it's just this little slice of suburban life. So, as we say, a couple of other useless bits of information. Mickey Dolenz was the second choice he was almost Fonzie on Happy Days. Got beaten out by Henry Winkler. And it is actually true that Mike Naismith's mom invented liquid paper, which of course nobody remembers anymore because nobody uses it anymore because it's all computers. But back in the days of typewriters, liquid paper was really something. That was really important.
Yeah.
So she made millions off of that. Which he inherited, which he could then not worry about making a living as either an actor or a musician. So anyway, perhaps he moved to Pleasant Valley. So let's dive into the Monkees and Pleasant Valley Sunday.
And as usual, we have to get it right there while we work out the fair use rules on YouTube. These episodes first aired in 2014 as the Song of the Day segment on my morning show on 977 FM, Creston Valley's community radio station. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and don't forget to share this with your friends. Now, you can choose to listen to the music or go on to the next segment of Song of the Day with Bruce.